Influencer Entrepreneurs podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 330 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, we're going to be jumping into the business mindset that you need to have in order to have growth in your business and to start treating your business like the business that it is, instead of looking at it as that hobby that some of us started this business off as. Now we need to start having that business entrepreneurial mindset about how we're going to continue to move forward. Before we jump into that, I want to make sure that if you haven't already grabbed the free workbook that goes along with this series that we have been doing, that you make sure that you grab that. You can go to jennymelrose.com/book, or you can hop over to the show notes and it's going to be right there. It'll be right in your podcasting app for you to be able to grab it. All right, so let's talk about this business mindset. After years of playing sports at a competitive level, there was something that I always noticed in the best athletes. They didn't boast about being the best, but you could tell they knew they were good at what they did. They had the mindset that they could compete at the highest level, which gave them the confidence to do so. They wanted the ball in order to break the tie. During the summer of 2019, the U.S. women's soccer team competed on the world stage, and there was always an athlete that stood out to me. It helped that she had purple hair and liked to say what was on her mind, but she stood out to me on the field before I even knew who she was. If you lived under a rock during the summer of 2019, then you may not know that I'm speaking of Megan Rapinoe. Just do a quick Google search and you'll get up to speed on what I'm talking about. Megan Rapinoe stands up for what she believes in, and I admired that. It was what made me an even greater fan of hers. I first noticed her confidence while watching her play in the soccer field. She would go flying up the field with a one-track mind. She had no doubt that she was more skilled than the player next to her. Her unique celebration after scoring a goal was what made me a super fan. I felt as if she was lifting me up as a woman. If you're not familiar with what she did, you truly need to Google it so you can see it for yourself. There was no fist punching or chest beating. Instead, she opened her arms wide to the crowd like a conductor of a symphony would do at the end of a concert to bow to the audience, but also to put the attention on all of the musicians who created the emotional music. I felt as if she was doing the same. She was putting the attention on her teammates, but I also felt like she was putting the attention on her fans for believing in her and supporting her. This is what our belief in ourselves should look like. Confidence to thank those who have helped us get to where we are. We need to not be afraid to lift those up around us and see them as collaborators instead of competition. Megan Rapinoe is on the world stage. While on that stage, she may seem controversial to some, but I see her as an example of the brilliance that women can have. She is using her skills set to bring to light a cause larger than hers and using her fame to put her mission to the forefront. Within each of us is the ability to inspire, but before we can do so, we have to have confidence. We have to have the mindset and the belief in ourselves. This isn't always an easy thing. You need to believe that you can make the next shot you take, and if you miss it, well, you need to be confident enough to take it again. To this day, my husband loves quoting my dad when the fact that I played college basketball and scored 1,000 points comes up. My husband gets this impish grin on his face and says, "She never met a shot she didn't like." He says it in the same way that my dad always did, with a sense of pride in my accomplishments. That is the mindset you need to have. It is okay to fail. You just need to learn from it and move forward. That bump in the road is happening so you can fix the issue. When I was younger, it was usually that my elbow was out a bit or that I hadn't followed through, so I didn't have the right spin on the ball. Now, it's that one of my courses isn't impacting the amount of students that I hoped it would. Many people would jump to scrap it and start over or entirely give up on it. Instead, fix issues leading up to the sale. Ask yourself, am I attracting the right people to it by creating content that shows the course is the logical next step? Am I even talking about that I have the course? I'm sure the last question seems ludicrous, but I realized this was the case in my own business when one of my mastermind clients asked me if I knew someone who had a course on launching a product. I looked at her in shock and shamefully said, "I actually have one." Her response was, "Why in the world don't you talk about it?" I thought I had mentioned the course in the past. I clearly didn't talk about it enough, or recently though. Mindset is something that takes work. It's not like a switch that can just be turned on and suddenly we have this amazing belief in ourselves. I do mindset work regularly through professional development. Professional development is such a corporate word, and it sounds like you need to sit in a stuffy lecture hall. It's not, though. My professional development this past summer was sitting on the beach in Barbados, reading Jen Sicero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, which then led to The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm an avid reader and always have loved it. I only read books related to business, though. I'm not one for a romance or mystery novel. If you'd rather listen to Audible or watch a webinar, then go for it. I truly believe that you need to do the work and be a constant learner. When it comes to mindset, we often need to get past our preconceived ideas. Some of us may have issues with money, while others of us may suffer from mom guilt and the role that our business plays in our lives. The truth of the matter is, that we continue to develop and strengthen our mindset as we learn and experience more in our lives. As I said in the introduction, we are who we are because of our experiences up until this point. Who we become is dependent upon how we move forward and how we react to the circumstances that we are dealt. Understanding that if we fall, we have to be able to pick ourselves up and learn from it so that we can continue to move forward. Looking at the gains that we have made is going to be key to the success of our business, rather than getting stuck in the gap, which is one of the books that I have most recently read called The Gap and the Gain, and it is by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and I would highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Really, it's a great read if you find yourself getting negative, having really huge high expectations of yourself, and it gives you that entrepreneurial mindset of understanding that you have to look backwards. What are the gains that you have made? All right, you guys, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to listen in. If you haven't already left a rating and review, I would greatly appreciate it. Just hop down in your podcasting app right below my episodes and scroll down to see where you see rating and review. And just leave me a quick review letting me know what you think of this episode. All right, you guys, until next time, I will see you all then.